travelled all the way up to Sheffield on the train to meet up with...
From Australia.
From Australia. It's a long train trip. To meet up with Michael Xavier, who is currently appearing in a very well-received production of Showboat. There's a lot of talk about Showboat.
Good?
Yes, very good.
I'd like to hear.
Very good.
Yeah,
Are you enjoying it?
I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. From the creative process, from day one of rehearsals, working with Daniel Evans, it's been such a liberating and focused rehearsal process, and has brought an incredible amount of detail to what is often seen as a kind of
old hat.
Yeah, that's probably quite a good idea. I mean,
Just so that you know, I don't mean to interrupt you, Michael, but we are actually in the foyer as they are setting up for the show, and you've just been down. There you go. Just been down to see the physio because you've got a minor.
Little niggle.
Just one of those things.
I'm just getting old.
So please go on. The show sometimes
I thought it was going to be a really creaky book, and you associate an old musical quite often with script that is kind of thrown together for the sake of the songs. You know, we were kind of worrying about kind of skipping to the next number. With this, the detail of the book is so rich, and obviously the music by Jerome Kern is incredible. So the combination of the two is, I'm still kind of blown away by the fact that it's so old, because you just assume it's going to be something that is old hat, feels old, doesn't work now in a modern context. And it was, for 1927, it was way ahead of its time. It's got an incredible cast, an incredible story, beautiful music, amazing singers. Choreography by Alistair David is just phenomenal. David White conducting is, he's an old pro from many years ago, and he's done all the greatest Campbell Macintosh shows and everything. And Daniel Evans, who is proving to be the most fantastic director, and has now just taken over. Well, he's about to take over his role of associate director down in Chichester, and it feels like a winning combination on every level. And it would surprise me if it doesn't transfer into the West.
I was going to say, when you've got all those things coming together, I would be surprised. I'm looking forward for it coming down to London.
Who knows? I mean, there's very light rumour, like there always is with a show.
No, there's a lot of chat. There's a lot of chatter out there, and I think it's good. Looking at you, Michael, you're tall. You've got the leading man looks. Is there sometimes in your career when you've looked back and thought, before an audition, I wish I was short and had pimples and stuff, because then I could go for that role? I mean, does it get in the way sometimes? Because
yeah, of course it does, because it's typecasting. I'm never going to really be playing the dumpy best friend, I suppose. That's the way it goes. But I'm grateful. That
for someone who is the leading man, you play some interesting roles. Like, for instance, in the wonderful open-air version of Into the Woods.
It was kind of combining two of my favourite things, which is acting and being outdoors. So it was just incredible. I loved every minute of that. And again, that was an amazing cast. And just a really different version of the show that no one expected it to be done in that style.
No. And the wolf is one of those roles that you seemed to just relish it. Did you? I mean, you look like you
were. It's in me, really.
You look like you were having a good time.
I love the wolf. I just wish I had more to do. You only get one number. I just wish he came back later on. Too.
But you got to work with Judi Dench.
Kinda. I got to be Judi Dench's eye. We were all. There was about 6 of us that were playing the parts of the giant.
Okay.
And I was.
So you got to be Judi Dench.
Left eye. I was the left eye. So I kind of got to be Judi Dench's left eye.
That's a bit weird. That's a bit good though.
I actually met Judi Dench when I was doing My Fair Lady many years ago, when David White, our conductor on this, was working on that as well. And I was taken into Anthony Andrews' dressing room at the end of the show, and he said, come on. And there was a few people in there, and Judi Dench was one of them. And she came up and said, hello. And she looked up at me and she said, well, we'll never work together, will we? And I quietly sobbed to myself.
Oh, well, what can you do? And My Fair Lady was another highlight for you.
It was. I mean, that was my first big leading break, really, because I'd understudied Chris in Miss Saigon for Cameron McIntosh's production of that. And to stand on the stage at Drury Lane to sing On the Street Where You Live, played by the most incredible orchestra, looking out to that amazing auditorium, I just couldn't believe my luck.
You played Raoul? How was that?
It was the thing with the takeover, the thing with doing a show that's been done so many times and you're the 27th Raoul or whatever number I was. The show is very much set in stone. The option for creativity is very limited. Which is why I stopped doing takeovers in the end. I wanted to do things like this, and just even though it's a revival, it's an original show from years ago. We are putting our own stamp on it, and that creativity, that input that Daniel has allowed us on this is what I live for. It's part of being an actor, and not just standing on a mark and singing that song there because the last 26 guys before you've done that.
Yes.
So I mean, don't get me wrong. Phantom of the Opera was great fun. I enjoyed it very much. It's a lovely role. It's a lovely show.
Lovely show.
But in terms of personal creativity, it was
a stepping stone.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good job at the time, and career-wise, CV-wise, it was a great step in that way.
So we fast forward, and we're now here at the Crucible Theatre in the foyer, getting ready for the show. There's people going past, and they're setting up on the stage. Very nice of you to sit and talk with us before you get ready. But when you are in the rehearsal process, you've turned up, you meet everyone, and everyone's sussing one another out. When do you sort of feel that you might be in a show that's really good?
That's a good question, and I can tell you exactly when it was. It was the first read-through with everybody. We had a week, the principals had a week with Daniel and the creative team to just read the scenes, work out what we'd like to do with the music. There was so much chopping and changing and tweaking of everything, really. And that was a really fun week. And then we had everybody come together on the Monday after that, and sit down and just read the whole show through and sing the numbers that we knew. And I realised, hearing all the different actors and seeing the arc of the story.
Were there a few people that you were looking across the table and thinking,
God, you're rubbish. No. They were brilliant. They are a brilliant cast. I mean, again, Daniel's plucked together some amazing people, and it's great to suddenly, you're reading the script and you're imagining these particular characters, and then suddenly these actors just bring it to life, and it's incredibly moving. The story is incredibly moving, and I was moved at the end of the read-through. I thought, well, if I'm feeling like this now, then how are this audience going to feel when they hear the music done properly, with the sets, the costumes, the lights, and the response we're having every night here with standing ovations proves that is the case.
Maybe it's just that your facial hair suits you so much.
I was just looking at, there's a picture just behind the camera, and I was just thinking, God, I'm looking old.
Well, that's sort of a disheveled moment, isn't it?
The facial hair, well, yeah, kind of.
It sort of suits you. It sort of suits you.
Thanks, the disheveled look. I grew this specifically because Les, our designer, had done these incredible drawings. He's such a wonderful artist as well as a designer. And in the design of Ravenol, Gaylord Ravenol, which is the character's name, he drew this facial hair.
And you looked at them and said, are we doing this, or is this...
Exactly, yeah. Well, I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, just grow the whole thing, and we'll work it out near at the time. So I grew a beard, and then I kept looking at the picture and thinking, yeah, it's right for the period, it's right for the style of the character, and so I kind of went up to Les and said, I'm going to go for it. And he went, okay, and I went home and I shaved it all off, and I did a time-lapse thing on Instagram, and this is it. This is the outcome. You're getting very strange looks from people in Sheffield.
I was going to say, on the street, sometimes they must think, yeah.
God, it's really weird.
The Ravenol, the part, is a difficult part to play. because it's one of those roles when you watch it that, you know, we want to really like him, and then it's, you know, it turns a bit, it's all a bit...
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I didn't know the story, and I was going up for this, and we were going to meet Daniel, people were saying, "Oh, it's great, because there was something else that was in the pipeline that I was kind of offered, that I ended up turning down to do this. Well, to audition for this actually. I hadn't even been offered the role here, but it was a much more interesting character. And people had said, "Oh, you're playing the baddie," and when I read it, I thought actually, no, he's not the baddie at all. He's a victim of circumstance. He's an addictive personality. He's got gambling addiction and a drinking addiction, and you realise
it's very dark, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and actually he realises that certainly in this it's slightly different from the novel when he just vanishes and never comes back. And the novel is different in many ways, but in this story, this version of the story, he leaves because he feels he's going to bring the family down, and so, you know, he's got a wife and daughter, and he thinks, I'm just going to ruin this family with my compulsive, you know, addictions. So I'm going to walk away, and he sends them the money and stays up.
There's an honourable side of it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, some people come and see it and say, oh, you know, you come back at the end, and, you know, it's not all that. Ruin it, no spoilers, no spoilers.
When you get to the street and they're giving you the look because of the beard, you can say, I'm honourable. What do you want?
Yeah, what's your problem?
I'm an honourable guy.
I think it's always, sorry, just to kind of tie that up, I think it's always important as well when you're playing a character to always understand the justifications for their actions.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's that whole thing of, you don't play a baddie as a baddie, you play a character who has specific choices and who's made specific choices on the back of maybe some terrible times in their life, and you know, we're way more complex than just the baddie and the goodie.
Yeah. You have big shoes to fill. Howard Keel is Howard Keel's
he was size 12.
Howard Keel was the recording that is probably the most famous.
Yeah.
I was in love with his voice when I was very young and having singing lessons myself. And yeah, I just wonder if there was any, you know, coming to the part. You said you wanted to be in it and you desperately wanted the part. Did you ever have moments where you were thinking, "Wow, this is a big opportunity. I can't mess this up"? You know, does it come with pressure?
Yeah. It always comes with pressure when there's an iconic film played by an iconic actor. It was like doing The Sound of Music. You know, you step out there and immediately people think Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
They're waiting for you to.
It's like, thanks a lot, everyone.
You know, yeah.
I heard you thinking.
Yeah, and I think your challenge as an actor is to step out on that stage and give your version of that immediately, so they don't even think about Christopher Plummer or Howard Keel. And you know, of course, he did a wonderful job in the movie, and this is just very different. It's a very different version. And I always go. I mean, I didn't watch the movie on purpose. I never watched the movies for those reasons. I never wanted to do an impression of Howard Keel or anything like that. I read the script, and I always go from the text and just
tell the story.
Tell the story, work out similarities I have to the character. You know, how real I can make this person and three-dimensional, and let people, you know, believe it or not believe it.
Is there a role, is there a star or a director or production that you've always dreamed of being in?
Mm-hmm.
You know, alive or dead, you know, you can throw it out there. If there's someone growing up that you really dreamt of co-starring with, or, you know, the young Michael.
The young Michael.
Who's one of your real superstar idols? I'll put you on the spot.
It's a really difficult one. I've always loved Sean Penn as an actor. I think he's a fantastic actor. I do like Kevin Spacey as well. I think he's a great actor. It would be fun to share the stage with them. In terms of a role I'd like to play, it's always been a difficult question for me because I don't know. Whenever I've been asked this question, I've always said I don't try and strive for a particular role because the random nature of this business is so that you have no control over it. You know, until you are Kevin Spacey and you can say, I want to be that part in that show and let's put it on.
Make it happen.
You know, yeah. Hopefully one day that might happen. you know, you just have to take the opportunities when they arise, and in a way, I've always been a very kind of off the cuff person. I like living my life very last minute and trying not to plan ahead, and I think as an actor that's useful because there's no control at all. You have to allow yourself to drift along with the, you know, with the randomness, the serendipity, if you like, of this career, and so therefore, hopefully parts will come up that I see and read and go, oh wow, that's incredible. Yes, I want to do that, and that's kind of how it's been. I think I'd love to do. I think it's Fred, isn't it? In Kiss Me Kate. I think it's a kind of fun role, and
yeah,
I think I'd relish. I love humour. I love comedy, and I love playing comedy. And when you were saying about, you know, my looks earlier, you quite often don't get seen for the comedy roles because, you know, oh, you can do the romantic lead, but the comedy part's so much more fun.
Yes. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. We're here at the Crucible and have a fantastic performance tonight. And fingers crossed, we may just see you in the not too distant future playing this role in London. And I look forward.
Who knows? Thank you, Jack. Cheers.